Meta just did something that could reshape who gets to make video games, and the gaming industry might not see it coming. They've released an app that lets you build AI-powered games without writing a single line of code. We're talking about a tool that turns your ideas into playable games using generative AI to handle all the technical heavy lifting. This isn't some sci-fi concept months away. It's live right now. And indie developers and creative people with zero programming experience are already using it to build actual games. What makes this fascinating isn't just the technology itself, it's what it says about the future of creative work. For decades, game development was locked behind a wall of programming knowledge, 3D modeling skills, and expensive software. You needed a team. You needed years of experience. Today, Meta's saying, not anymore. If you can describe what you want, the AI can build it. That's a massive change. And naturally, the gaming establishment is paying very close attention, because when tools like this arrive, they don't just change how games get made, they change who gets to make them. In the next few minutes, we're going to break down exactly what Meta built, why it matters way beyond just games, and what this means for everyone who's ever had a game idea but didn't think they could pull it off. To understand why this is such a big deal, you need to know where game development sits right now. Building a game traditionally requires multiple specialized skills. You need someone to write the code, the engine, the physics, the gameplay logic. You need artists who model 3D characters and environments. You need animators and sound designers. You need UI designers who make the menus actually usable. A small indie studio might be 10 to 20 people. A AAA studio is hundreds, and most projects fail before they ship. The barrier to entry is brutal. If you're a creative person with a game idea, you can't just will it into existence. You need programming skills or money to hire programmers. Most people have neither. So millions of game ideas stay locked in people's heads. Not because they are bad ideas, but because the tools to build them are gate-kept behind years of technical training. Meta's asking a simple question. What if we automated all that? What if AI could generate assets, handle the coding, and let you focus on the concept? That's what this app does. And here's where it gets interesting, because if it works at scale, it doesn't just change games, it's a preview of how AI reshapes creative industries entirely. The app is built on Meta's AI models, which makes sense. They've got world-class generative AI research. Here's how it works. You describe the game you want to make. You can be vague, a space puzzle game where you destroy asteroids, or more detailed. The AI takes your description and generates a playable game prototype. That includes the game mechanics, the visual assets, the layout, the audio design, even basic enemy AI. You're not getting a screenshot or a concept art piece. You're getting an actual playable game that you can immediately boot up and test. Then you can iterate. If you want to change how the mechanics feel, you describe the change. If you want different art style, you ask for it. The AI regenerates those specific parts. It's like having a game dev team that understands natural language. The technical architecture is wild. The app's using multiple AI models layered on top of each other, one for generating game logic, one for 3D asset creation, one for audio synthesis, one for overall game structure. They're all orchestrated to work together and produce something cohesive. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. This isn't magic. It's not producing AAA quality games automatically. The prototypes are simple. They are fun. They are playable. But they're not competing with professional game studios. What Meta's actually done is democratize the prototype stage. You get from idea to playable game in hours instead of months. That's the real change here. So what are people building with this? There's a puzzle game where you slide tiles to reveal patterns, a tower defense game where alien creatures attack your base and you build turrets, a racing game through colorful pixel landscapes, a rhythm game where you tap to the beat of generated music. Non-sound revolutionary, and that's the point. They're the kind of games hobbyists have built for 20 years. But here's the difference. Those games took experienced programmers 3 to 6 months. These took hours. Someone with a creative idea and no coding experience can generate a game in an afternoon. That's the change. The quality ceiling is lower than professional studios produce, but the democratization effect is dramatic. You've got artists who never coded shipping playable games. You've got designers who can prototype mechanics without waiting for a programmer. You've got kids and teenagers experimenting with game design in ways that weren't possible 6 months ago. Some of the best game designers started by messing around with engines in their bedroom. If AI accelerates that feedback loop, if you can test an idea, iterate, and refine it in days instead of months, you get more people experimenting earlier. And here's the twist nobody expected. Faster iteration means the market's about to flood with games. Not all of them will be good. So how does this stack up against what exists? If you want to make a game today, your options are pretty limited if you don't code. There's Unity and Unreal, which are powerful but have a steep learning curve. There's Godot, which is free but still requires understanding programming concepts. There's Construct and Game Maker for 2D games, which are more accessible but still require learning their scripting systems. And there's Roblox Studio, which lets you build games inside Roblox, but you're still coding Lua to make anything interesting happen. What Meta's app does differently is remove the coding requirement entirely. You're not learning an engine's workflow. You're not learning a visual scripting system. You're describing what you want, and the AI builds it. That's qualitatively different. It's like the difference between teaching someone to use Photoshop versus hiring a designer to create an image for you. The existing game engines are tools. Meta's app is automation. Now, here's what the headlines aren't telling you. Most of those tools I mentioned are still better for complex games. A professional studio isn't going to use Meta's app to build the next Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate, but those tools aren't designed for rapid prototyping by non-technical people. That's Meta's specific niche. The comparison that matters isn't Meta versus Unity. It's Meta versus the blank page. It's Meta versus the millions of ideas that never become games because there was no path to prototype them. This matters way beyond just games. What Meta's showing is that AI automates creative work at scale. Game development is specialized, but the pattern applies everywhere. Graphic design, music, video editing, animation, software, these are all fields where AI replaces parts of pipelines that used to require expertise. For developers, this is unsettling. Suddenly, there's a tool that does in hours what took them weeks. Some have real concern this could put people out of work. That's not unreasonable, but short-term markets expand. When a barrier falls, you don't get fewer creators, you get way more. That's what happened when photography became democratized. It didn't kill painting. It exploded visual creators. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not every person who picks up a tool becomes good with it. So you'll see a massive flood of AI-generated games, most forgotten in days. Signal-to-noise plummets. It makes it harder for good indie games to stand out. There's a paradox. Making games easier is good for democratization, but it devalues the craft. When anyone can generate a game in an afternoon, how do you build a reputation? But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. The people who thrive are those who guide the tool deeply. AI doesn't replace vision, it amplifies it. So if you want to try this, here's how it works. The app is available now on Meta's website. You sign in with a Meta account, which most people have. Then you're in the editor. It's clean and minimal, no overwhelming toolbars. You've got a text box where you describe your game. You can be casual, a puzzle game where you match colors. The AI generates a prototype almost instantly. You can play it right in the browser, which is great for immediate feedback. If you want to change something, describe it. Make levels harder or change to pixel art or add more sound. The AI regenerates that component without touching the parts you like. You can iterate as many times as you want. Most people go through 3 to 5 iterations before they've got something they are happy with. Once finished, you download it as a playable file. You can share with friends, post it online, or publish to distribution platforms. Technical setup is minimal. No installation, no environment setup, no conflicts. You're just describing what you want and watching the AI build it. The barrier to trying this is almost non-existent. And that's just the beginning. As Meta's AI improves, this tool gets better at understanding complex descriptions. Right now, it's great for simple games. In a year, it might handle more sophisticated mechanics. Here's what this means for you, whether you care about games or not. Meta proved that massive creative barriers collapse overnight when AI matures. Game development was gate-kept by technical knowledge. Today it isn't. That pattern will repeat in music, visual art, writing, software fields where expertise and specialized tools created barriers that AI demolishes. If you've had an idea you didn't think you could execute due to lacking skills, this is your future preview. Tools like this become the norm. The gap between idea and execution closes. That's democratizing, but it raises hard questions about value, craft, and what separates professionals when tools are this accessible. The people who thrive won't be the ones who use the tool best. They'll have taste, knowing what makes games good, stories compelling, experiences worthwhile. They combine AI efficiency with human judgment. If you want to experiment with game design, download Meta's app now. If you're a developer worried about your job, pay attention to how markets respond to AI-generated content. And if you're a creative who wanted to build something but thought you couldn't, this is your sign the world opened up. Follow for daily AI news to track what's reshaping creative industries.